Okay, that made the trick. That did the trick there. I use the same old one, but now look at there. You can see the gap that we have in there now. See the gap? Because now the spring is out of the way. The spring was in the way before, and it still goes back to where it needs to be all the way that way. Okay, so now the spring sits in there flat like it should. So the two wires are stacked up on top of each other. It took away the height of the one wire. So instead of being collapsed in one wire, we collapsed the two wires, which made it too thick. The gear stuck out too far. So there you go. That's like it's supposed to be. Okay, just a matter of figuring out where your problems are at. Okay, so I'm going to bend this tab over a little bit. Yeah. Pick a spot where you want to go over at. Okay. Done deal. Your tabs fold over like that. Everything is working like it's supposed to now. We're good to go. Last thing to check is to make sure that this fits on here. It does, and it clears that. That is a ball bearing on this thing right here. Its purpose in life is to engage in this low spot right here and keep the center from turning. So the ball's there, so you put it on there, it'll go until it pops in right there. It's in the free spot right there. So now the center will stay stationary while the main shaft's spinning, so this will stay put here, and it works. If you didn't have that ball bearing tang in there, the whole thing would be spinning on top of the ratchet gear right here, and it'll lead it up a little bit. So that's why you have that in there like that. And that's why you have to have this gear in here, whether you have a kicker or not, if you put the yearly bearing. Otherwise it doesn't work correctly. Alright, so we got all that done now. So let's move on to the kicker assembly, I guess. Or the shifting. Which one do you want to go to? One or the other. Let's go look at the kicker. Okay, there's our kicker. There's nothing in here, we've got to put some parts in here. Okay, the O-ring is already inside there. There's that black piece in the middle, deep in there. The shaft appears to fit correctly. There we go. It's fine. So you have a washer right here. There's a big tang on it there. There's a cutaway. The cutaway is for so it sits flat against here like that. Just in case the shafts have their fillet in there, which most of them don't. You gotta go flat. And that keeps the shaft from going sucking in. Gives you a wear surface. Okay, this piece here goes on that. It fits on there good, so you have to beat it with a big hammer. We will have to time it though. So we got that to play with. We also gotta set up the put the clutch mechanism in here. We're gonna replace this finger. We are gonna reuse the cutter key though, because I'm cheap. There you go. Might have to rebend it slightly to reuse it, but should be able to get that in there. Okay, there's a washer right here, and there's supposed to be a washer over here. You want this relief to be kind of in the center line of the bushing there, because that's where the throw-out bearing. The early ones used to have a big long tit on here that went through and stuck inside of there for some reason. Later on they quit making it that way. So you got to keep this centered so it works in that. Also, If it gets all center line here, it won't go in here like it's supposed to. If you're over here, it doesn't fit, so it'll be a problem. So all of that stuff needs to be lined up. So that means you have to have your washers in there. Yeah, it just slides out. Get a little bit of rust for lubricant in there. It's fine. Appears like they chromed everything. What a shocker. There's the washer we're going to probably reuse. Boom. Okay, so this is pretty well stripped down now, so we're not going to use this anymore. We got 3 different forks here, fingers, whatever you want to call them. This one is supposed to be an early. These 2 here, nobody says what they fit. I think they're all the same. This is an early one here. You notice how none of them really look like this. So this is our V-twin one. Okay, this is supposed to be the correct one. This is brand X, unknown, don't give a squat. Is it cheap? Finger. So, how are they made differently? Pretty similar so far. Both are cut the same on top. Square seems to line up the same. The fork lines up the same. So these are pretty much the same everywhere you look at them. The only difference right off the bat is the width of this, and that's the same also, just looks different. Alright, so these are the same, even though they're supposed to be special, they're not. So compared to the old one, it looks pretty much, the difference is this one was rubbing right here, and this one's cut away to have that clearance. So this has more clearance. It's actually made to work better than the original one does. So that part's good. Square looks the same. The only difference is the width of the fork for the push rod. Obviously this has no problem going all the way through this one, which it should never do anyway. Because it goes in the bearing right here. It doesn't even stick through at all. So having it in there doesn't make any difference. That is cut away real fat. This one being cut real skinny, it had a problem with hitting on the push rod on the inside from whatever was causing that issue, because they had the wrong parts in there. Okay, so I see no difference in these things. This is the other one right here, and it's made the same way also. So these are all the same. I see no difference. So this is the correct one. This is the incorrect one. It'll work though. Okay, so I didn't think there was going to be much of a difference, and what a shocker. There's no difference. Always make sure your shaft fits in there correctly. Appears to fit. So, put the finger in there. Put the washer in here. Kind of a tight squeeze, which is going to be a problem. Remember the counter shaft? We're having the same problem. Okay, it's lined up, but don't want to quite go in. Tapping with the plastic hammer, not a steel one. Okay, we're all the way in, but we're a little bit too tight to actually function. So what we need to do is a little extra clearance. Jeez, that's tight. Okay, I want to eyeball it. I want to see where we're off. So by looking at it right here, it looks like we're got an air gap on this side of the finger and we're touching on this side, which means this bushing here is not installed deep enough. So to make it deeper, we just tap it up here with a steel hammer, but try not to hurt the threads. So that means you can hit it lightly, but not very hard, but hit it flat. If you don't hit it at an angle, it'll screw the thread up. Wow, now it works. We just slid that bushing up a little deeper. Goes together a lot easier. Look at the gap right there on the fingers, and it looks like they're hitting pretty evenly on both sides. You also eyeball it this way here, and you see if it looks like it's centered, and it appears to be pretty centered. So that did the trick. It also works a lot freer now too. Okay, so now we know everything works. Go ahead and get a little lubricant in here and lubricate things. So there's a bushing down here and there's a bushing up here. We're getting both lubed. Okay. We're going to put our finger in there like we're supposed to. Get our washer in there. Move it around until it drops in. I'm going to find the little washer that's around here. There it is. This washer has a small hole in it. That end of the shaft is smaller. Now the disadvantage of this is, right now, is now we put the bushing in there, there's no room for the washer to go on there. It doesn't fit anymore. This is too thick. But we still did the correct thing because this is centered where here it was supposed to be. So the problem is that bushing's made too thick. Okay, so we got room for a little small thin washer, but not this big thick one. Here. So this isn't going to work. Okay, so I'm going to go look to see if I got something real thin. That's 1/4 inch. Because I don't want to run just this right against the bushing there if I don't have to. If I have to, I'll be alright, but I'm going to try to put a washer in it if possible. I'm going to go look for a washer. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I got me a little thin washer here. A lay-in shim washer, so it's a nice tight fit. Let's see if I can use that. It still might not fit. We'll find out. It's going to be close. I don't know. It's going to be tight. Nope. So this big thick one will not go in there. Take the washer out. And you still don't want to go in there. So we can't use this used one. Even with the washer out, it won't go in there, so it's the wrong piece. Yeah. Damn washer. Get back in there. Alright, I'm going to go get me a new one of these and see if we can make that work. Be back again. Okay, I got a nice stainless one right here. It's probably just a tick smaller too, I bet. It's a 3/32. This might be an 1/8 of an inch one, who knows. It's hard to read. It's under an 1/8 inch there, but it's definitely more than 3/32. So my guess is this is an 1/8 inch one that's undersized a little bit. This one's 3/32 around the money. The key part is it fits right in there too, see? And if you break that off, good luck on getting that out of there. These stainless cotter keys are pretty damn stout. Usually just don't fall off. Wow, it's hard on my fingers. Hitting on something. Oh, there's a damn baffle in there. There's a wedge down in there's it hanging up on the damn thing. Great. Means I can't clear that web in there. So I'm going to shorten it up a little bit, but not a ton. Just enough that I can get it probably around there. Make sure you figure out where these parts go to. You don't want this stuff all go inside your tranny. Not quite as bad as being in your motor, but close. Still break a gearbox. There we go. So I was able to roll it around. So now I can fold it back on itself easily. Go. Not going to come out now. Those stupid E-clips pop right off, so they don't do work. You can pull on this thing quite a bit. It ain't going to ever come out. You will never make that come out of there. And we're all still lined up here because I got the correct washers in there. All right. One kicker cover installed. One old cotter key we can use. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now we got to put our kicker in here. We've got to find our missing kicker pedal stop. rusty ass part here. Looks horrible. Look at that. That looks nasty in there. Okay, I'm going to go put a little bit of silver paint on to make it look a little prettier. That doesn't look very good. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back again. Okay, I just got done bending the tabs up a little bit. So just like before, I use little duck bills on here. Hold them close to the outside edge. Just give them a little bend like that. You sit down inside the gear here and they're really hard to get anything under there to bend them back up. So you need a little extra room in there. Okay, I got our nut we're going to use. So this is ready to go back together. Okay, so paint's drying on this. Make sure you tighten this with a 6-point wrench, not a 12. These things are very thin and they really round off pretty easily. Tighten it up a little bit, should be adequate. Okay. And put a good load of grease on here and down inside the bushing also. A lot of times what I do is I goop them up on both sides. Put the grease out there. You come in from this side like this and lubricate it backwards. Get some grease on that side. It's still pretty dry, so I'm going to put my finger in there and do it some more. More interruptions. Hello. Yeah, I know you are. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm here, so I'll be here for another hour at least. Okay, bye. Good thing I worked late. Come by late and get parts. Okay. It's like midnight auto parts around here, except I don't have stolen goods. Okay, so I loop taped the inside all the way around. That just slipped right in because it was well lubed. It'll go in there pretty good. Now they put these shafts, and you can put them anywhere 4 direction. You put your kicker on, because the kicker has a bolt on the top, the pinch bolt right there. So you have to have one of these notches for a kicker in the correct spot. Now you can't put it on any 4 spots because you have to have spring tension on this thing. So here's your spring. So it has to go on there, and you have to have tension up on here. So the first thing I do is get this thing to go on here. Appears to be a tight fit. A little tighter than normal. It ain't going to fall off. Okay, so that goes around and catches on that stud right there. Okay, now you have to have a little bit of winding on this thing to make the kicker come back up. The only thing we're not sure is how much pressure we need. Here's my adjustable kicker arm right here. So you see how much movement you got. Okay, I want some decent pressure on it. That's pretty light. That's getting kind of heavy. Can you go full half turn around? Barely. So I don't know how much kicker pressure is going to take to return the kicker arm. So that's what we got to determine. Somewhere in this halfway area would be good. So that's where you put your gear on, somewhere in that halfway area. appears to be about the right spot right there. So your stud's going to be, it's right here. So you put the gear on where that's going to hit in that one spot. So that means you have this much pressure on it. The other spot is you can back it off a quarter of a turn. Put it right there. And you have this much tension. Now this might work alright if you have a nice freely working system. I'm not sure how freely this system is going to be. Right now it seems pretty good. So I'm going to try the lighter one initially. There it goes. Okay, initial mock-up. So this is how much wind it goes here. So that's only a quarter of a turn of wind, which is very low. It's only right there. It's not a lot of return. It might be enough. Definitely over here has got more tension on it. Problems, I don't know if I can wind it a half a turn around. Yep, it'll go half a turn. See, it goes all the way to there, no problem. So that's where it's going to be now. Can we go another 40? It's hard to get that extra 45 out of there. See, the spring gets wound up pretty far. It's not a lot of tension. See, I'm just using my little finger here. A lot better down here. So I think we're going to have to give a little extra, a little more wrap than we're doing. Okay, so we're going to go a bit further. Okay, that's half a turn of wrap before you do another half. That's a full turn you got to go around. I don't think that'll work. It's going to be too much. Okay, that's stock. The springs can almost completely collapsed over there. A lot of tension. If everything works good, you can put it in the other spot. If it doesn't, if it works stiff, then this is the one you want to use. I'm not sure how all that's going to work in there. It's an unknown. But I don't like running heavy tension. So for now, I'm going to go with less tension. right there. So we're in light tension mode. I'm going to take this all back apart to fix it, but I'm going to go with light instead of heavy. So you want to play it safe, you go with the heavy. If the spring breaks, it's not your fault, right? Well, it kind of is. You don't want to wrap it in so tight, but just a matter of how you want to do it. See, I'm able to get my screwdriver under there. Okay, so it's all locked, assembled. So this is where our pedal's going to be. We got decent tension on it. It's not like we got none. But we can go halfway around pretty easy, see? And see the spring's not being overworked. We just don't have a lot of tension on it. So we'll see how that works. Okay, so that takes care of that problem. Okay, moving on. So now we're either shifting or putting studs on it. Yeah, I'll do one of them. I'll figure it out in a minute. I'll be back.